Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Gabriel, and this is Divya Stone's Crystal Casting Divination Readings. I developed this system myself through a vision that I received from Spirit. I have a board with many symbols on it, and I have some crystals here. And in a moment, I will be scattering them on the board to bring us our messages, combining the energy of the stones with the meaning of the symbols, as well as my intuitive gifts. And that's how this works. So thanks for being here. I do private readings, so please reach out. I'd love to give you a reading, and all of my, links and whatnot are in my bio. But more than anything, I just want to thank you for being here. You don't have to look at the screen for this entire reading. You can just listen and you'll still get the messages if you have chores and things that you need to be doing. And this is our week ahead reading. So this is a bit of a longer one. And this is for the week of August 2nd. So I will be asking Spirit now to please show us whatever we need to know this week, both individually, whoever's tuning in, and collectively. So you can apply these messages to your life in any way that makes sense to you. Since this is a collective reading, it's going to hit different people differently, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and select our stones. I'm going to choose 3 stones to work with, and they will be in pairs, and then a guide stone. So let's see what energy and messages we're working with now. The first stone is citrine. Great stone for Leo season. Let's see what else we've got here. Black obsidian. Very good. And let's see what our third stone is. Bloodstone. Nice. Okay. So I'm going to take these 3 pairs. Spirit has heard the question already. Just giving them some energy, asking for that clear guidance and important messages and reminders that we might need in our life right now. And we're just going to let them drop. Now I'm going to choose the guide stone. And that one goes in the middle on the eye. And we have tiger eye, another perfect stone for Leo season. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into the reading and change the view so that you can see what I see. Okay, I always begin with the one in the center on the eye. This is tiger eye. This is our guide stone. So this is kind of our overarching energy for the week and what we can really focus on. And this is a stone of personal power. It does have a bit of sensitivity with it. So, like I said, for Leo season, sometimes with that personal power and really trying to stand in that confidence, if we're in a sensitive moment, our pride can get a little bit hurt there. So be aware of that. There might be some pridefulness this week coming up for people. But it is also a stone of joy and strength. It's balancing. It helps remove some of the fear and anxiety that might be plaguing us and stabilizes our mood a bit. But it really activates our courage and our ability to step into our power and really show up very authentically in confidence, right? This is, citrine and tiger eye cannot pick better stones for Leo energy, right? It's the lion, it's the roar, it's the here I am world, with this big, bold kind of expression. And I love both of these stones. And citrine also carries this energy. They are both solar plexus chakra stones, and that's the seat of personal power. So there's a lot of that energy right now. So we're going to tie back into this as we go, but I will start with the citrine because it does carry those same qualities in addition to those qualities that I just described with with tiger eye, it also is a stone of manifestation, of success. It does bring about some good energy for prosperity, which is also wonderful. And it's about shining our inner light. Okay. So it looks like the sun, right? It looks like sunshine. So this is about remembering to shine your light. Um, and use your imagination, tap into that wonderful, whimsical, sunshiny energy. And there is also a wisdom that kind of comes with the citrine. So let's look at where its placement is on the board. We've got one of them in the relationship section, and it's on the two hands that are connected. They're connected by the fingertips like this, and they're perfectly symmetrical. And there's beautiful flowers going up the arms, and this symbolizes beautiful balance in relationships. And then this section here is kind of our personal growth and evolution section, if you will, and our personal attributes. So this is kind of personality as well as our outward presentation in the world. So what do we have going on here? This symbol, like I said, is for those beautiful, balanced relationships. And there's going to be a heavy focus on that. There's a little bit of, it feels like intuitively some potential this week for a little bit of friction in relationships, maybe some agitated energy. So this is reminding us to really shine the light on what it takes to bring this beautiful balance into our relationships. This is that give and take, it's equity, it's good boundaries and honoring each other's boundaries, and a desire for deeper connection as opposed to the need to be correct. Okay. So this is about really watching that need to be right. Remember that pride that I talked about here at the beginning? There's a sensitivity there. So this is really making sure that we're careful about our communication. What is it exactly that we're wanting to communicate, and what do we need, right? Sometimes when we get agitated and argumentative, it's because there's something deeper that we need and we're not giving voice to that. So this really needs to be a time of kind of cooling your temper if things should arise, especially in your most important relationships, and really just kind of regroup and ask what's important and how can I shine my light here, and as opposed to, like I said, the need to be right or the need to be the focus of attention. And then over here in our personal growth and evolution section, this is about moving forward because we've got the footsteps right here, which it's pointing towards, but it's also in between that. And these are the elements on the edges of the board, or the seasons and the elements. And this is fire. Not surprising. We are in fire energy right now with Leo. And this is very much about purification, kind of distilling things down, burning away what isn't useful, and getting down to what remains, right? So this is kind of throwing things into the fire. And this is connected to relationships, remember, because these two stones have a connection. So kind of throwing things into the fire that don't work, or maybe throwing everything into the fire, seeing what burns and seeing what remains. And what remains is what's true for you. So this is a purification process to get to that authenticity, to get to that personal power, right? If there's a lot of stuff in the way, it's really hard for us to stand in that power. And then once we kind of let that purification process happen, we can let that light be ignited within us with that flame, and then move forward. The footsteps here are all about moving from a stagnant energy or procrastination into a productive, forward-moving, forward-thinking energy. And this might indicate that some more effort is required on your part. Maybe you're not making enough of an effort to bring those beautiful, balanced relationships into fruition and keep them healthy. So maybe you need to step it up a little bit, and then maybe the other person needs to step it up. And there's a gentle way to communicate that. Maybe you both need to. If you've gotten complacent, if you've gotten a little bit like taking things for granted, time to light a fire there and get some forward movement, some action. And then honoring the journey, remembering that relationships are a journey that you're walking with this other person or people. This can apply to more than one person. Um, and remember that. Bring that light to that journey, and remember that it's an adventure, right? It's not meant to be a drag. It's not meant to be, um, miserable, right? So bring that sense of adventure back in. And what can we discover about each other? What can we learn? What attributes can we support each other with? Bringing each individual gift to that relationship empowers it even more. Okay. So that's a beautiful thing. So since we're in this section, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the bloodstone. It is on the line here between this, kind of personal evolution section and the spiritual and your spiritual world. And then the other bloodstone is down here in your life path section. Bloodstone, I love bloodstone. It's a stone of transformation. It really of all kinds, personal, spiritual, relational, financial. I mean, you can really just apply it all across the board. And it has this energy of new beginnings, of rejuvenation, of breathing new life into things that maybe have gotten stagnant or stale. There's an energy of change here, death of the old, birth of the new. And then it also brings a sort of a comfort during times of struggle or strife, right? So while it can create upheaval through this transformative energy, it also gives us what we need to get through that. Okay. So let's talk about this peacock. Okay. This is a very stylized peacock here. The peacock is very much about your sense of self, your personality, your personality attributes. Again, it can be pride. So again, watch your pride this week. It's also how you want the world to see you. So this is putting your best foot forward. This is nurturing your self-esteem. This is kind of looking at this sense of self and rejuvenating that, breathing new life into that, maybe even reinventing yourself a little bit this week. Who do you want to be? Is that old sense of self not serving anymore? Do you need to transform something? Do you need to tweak something? Are you showing up the way you want to show up? Right. And so it's time to kind of look at that on a personal level. And then that, like I said, it crosses into the spiritual. So this isn't just personal, it's also some spiritual transformation. Down here in your life path section, the other bloodstone is on the sword. And the sword is a very powerful symbol. It's a very strong symbol. And it really symbolizes an abrupt change or boundary or a quick ending to something. So I wouldn't be surprised this week if you got some surprise news about something that's going to, kind of change your life a little bit here, because this is your life path. But it can also be you setting a new boundary. And you might have to summon your courage a little bit here, which is great because we've got the tiger eye that spirit is saying, whatever comes up this week, don't worry. You have the courage. You have what it takes. You have the personal power to get through it. The sword energy can be a little bit challenging. Drawing a new boundary can be hard. You have to stand in your courage to do that. Abrupt change can be very difficult to navigate. And we've got this stone that brings change and brings rejuvenation and renewal on a symbol that is very strong for change, right? So this could be a jolt. Just know that you have the strength, the courage, the personal power to get through whatever that is for you. Okay. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. So the next stone we're going to look at that's also going to help navigate this is your black obsidian. Okay. Black obsidian is incredibly grounding. It's very protective. So that's what it takes when we've got a little bit of upheaval and a little bit of unsettled transformational energy. We have to stay grounded, and we forget that. So the obsidian is there to remind us about being grounded. This one is on the line between our financial, or I should say material world here, which does affect finances and resources. And again, this is our life path section. Our other black obsidian is up here in our spiritual world, but it's on, well, it's closest to the masquerade mask, which is a little bit challenging sometimes. So again, the obsidian is there to bring that grounding. It's very protective. So there is a message here about protecting your energy field this week, especially your spiritual energy field. It can really help to block negative energy. It can bring a little bit more patience and perseverance to what we're dealing with, the challenges that we're facing. It's really good for meditation and creating a positive energy field. So, since this is in the spiritual world, it's probably a good idea to do some introspection and meditation this week. If you don't do that on a regular basis, I would say, especially now. Being closest to the masquerade mask, there is an indication here around some illusions, some hidden truths, maybe some ego perceptions that need to be shifted. So this is kind of like asking, what is hidden here from me? What is hidden in the shadows? What am I not seeing? Maybe I'm coming from a place of ego when I need to be coming more from a place of authentic spirit energy, right? Am I spiritually bypassing something in my life that, because I have a reluctance to face something that is a little bit more shadowy, a little bit darker, a little bit more challenging? Remember, there's some abrupt possible changes coming up here. So we don't want to do the spiritual bypass. We don't want to be like, oh, it's fine, it's all good because it's all God and la la la. No, we want to look at it. We want to face it. We want to ask it what we need to learn from it. What illusion needs to be dispelled here so that that mask can come off and we can see clearly, right? When we spiritually bypass or we go into that toxic positivity, we can miss growth and illumination, right? So don't do that this week. There is also a connection here to being grounded in the material world, right? This is on the line, and being grounded with our decisions, okay? If we're in the illusion and we're just not facing things, how are we going to make good, grounded decisions, okay? So we've got the crossroads. That's choices. That's decisions. There's a choice coming up for you, and you have to take responsibility for it. So you want to choose wisely, okay? Now, because this also reminds us to seek guidance for those decisions, it's a good thing the other one is up here in the spiritual world and reminds us to go into that meditative state. This decision could be financial. There's a very high likelihood that there will be some financial decisions this week. There's always financial decisions, right? Some are minor, some are major, right? So whatever that looks like for you, this is saying be grounded with your resources. be practical with your money. Don't be making big impulsive spending decisions this week. Okay. This is about, I don't want to say necessarily safety, because we can't always play it safe, especially when we're transforming things and we're being big and bold in our power this week. But it is about practicality, being smart, and being protective of those resources, right? If it's solid, if it's strong, if it's rooted, if it's grounded, go for it, right? But think about it. Don't just rush into it, okay? So, that is the general energy that we're working with this week. That's your reading for the week. A lot of big bold energy, but also some possible friction, some possible upheaval in relationships, in your sense of self. Uh, some big change might happen this week. And we need to just stay very, very grounded and very, very solid and protect that energy. All right, I'm going to switch back now. I hope that was helpful for you for this week. I so enjoy being here and being able to do these free readings for you and for the collective. Make sure you check out every Wednesday. I do a very quick 3-minute or less midweek check-in, just to kind of give us that little boost in the middle of the week and some reminders. Sometimes it's often very congruent with the week ahead reading, which is not surprising. And so it just kind of gives us those reminders and a little bit of, maybe inspiration to get to the next week. So please share, please comment. I'm also starting to do some themed readings. So I'd love to hear your suggestions for a theme. These are kind of timeless readings that whenever somebody tunes in, it can be anything from career to relationships to, ancestral, dynamics, whatever. So please let me know something maybe that you're struggling with that I could do a themed reading on, and maybe I'll pick your theme for the next one. I love your comments. I love your feedback. Check out my links in my bio for all the work I do in the world. Not just my readings, but malas and kirtan and other wonderful things I have going on. And then please book a private reading. I would love to do a reading for you. And yeah, thanks. That's all I have. Thanks. I'm so appreciative that you're here. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll check in on Wednesday. Bye for now.